The moment we stepped through the decorated backyard gate, I felt the air turn sharp, like walking into a room right after a fight. Before I could even adjust Oliver's walker on the grass, Amanda's shrill voice cut across the crowd like a knife. "I don't want him here. This is supposed to be a perfect party," she yelled, her words punching through the laughter and music. My son, Oliver, only 8 years old, squeezed my hand so tightly that his knuckles turned white. With the other hand, he held on to a neatly wrapped gift he'd chosen himself a present for his cousin Emma. "My name is Jessica, and never in my life did I imagine I'd stand in the middle of a children's birthday party, watching my sister-in-law embarrass my child like this in front of half the neighborhood. Oliver has cerebral palsy and walks with his little silver walker, but he is smart, gentle, polite, and has a heart big enough to brighten any room." Seeing him shrink under Amanda's glare made something inside me twist painfully. "Amanda, he's your nephew," I said quietly, trying to keep my voice from shaking. "He just wants to give Emma her present." "I don't care," she snapped. Her perfectly styled hair bounced as she waved her arms in dramatic frustration. "Look around, Jessica. Important people from our neighborhood are here." "I can't have him." She leaned in, lowering her voice to a sharp whisper, ruining everything with that walker. "What will people think?" My breath caught. Oliver trembled beside me, his small body so tense I thought he might burst into tears. Around us, parents had stopped talking. Some people even lifted their phones, recording, unmoving, like they were watching a car crash. Emma stood by the bouncy castle in her sparkly princess dress, staring at her mother in confusion. "It's okay, Mommy," Oliver whispered, though his voice was thin and scared. "We can go home." That was the moment everything in me settled. Not anger, something clearer, sharper, and stronger than that. I had spent 5 years trying to keep peace with Amanda. 5 years of brushing off her accidental comments about Oliver, her excuses for leaving us out of events, her fake concern about how hard my life must be. But this was the last line she would ever cross with me. "You're right, sweetheart," I told Oliver softly. "We will go home, but first..." I reached into my purse and lifted my phone. I had been recording since her first cold greeting, something I'd started doing months ago at my husband Tom's suggestion. Amanda's eyes went wide as she noticed the screen. "What are you doing?" she demanded. "Just making memories," I said, ending the recording and keeping my voice steady. Then I turned toward Emma. "Honey, Oliver brought you a special gift."
"He picked it just for you."
Emma ran forward before her mother could stop her. She grabbed the present and wrapped her arms around Oliver in a quick, tight hug. Amanda yanked her back like she was pulling her away from danger. "Get out," she hissed at me. "And don't you dare share that video." I smiled politely, leaned down, and helped Oliver turn his walker back toward the exit. "You know, Amanda," I said quietly, "sometimes the perfect moments aren't the ones you plan. They're the ones that show who you really are." We walked away. Behind us, I heard a mother call out, "Let him stay. We don't mind." Others murmured in disagreement with Amanda, but I didn't look back. This wasn't about a scene. This was about my son learning that his value wasn't something people like Amanda got to decide. In the car, Oliver stared at his lap before asking in the softest voice, "Why doesn't Aunt Amanda like me, Mommy?" My heart cracked. "Sweetheart," I said gently, brushing his hair off his forehead. "Some people are so worried about looking perfect that they forget how to be kind. But you are perfect exactly the way you are." Later that evening, as Oliver played with his Legos, I replayed the video and felt that same clarity settle over me again. Tom watched it too, his jaw tight as Amanda's words filled the room. "Post it," he said finally. "Not to hurt her, but because kids like Oliver shouldn't feel alone. And people like Amanda shouldn't think they can act like this without consequences." I hesitated only a moment before typing out a simple, honest post. No yelling, no insults, just the truth. A boy turned away from his cousin's birthday because someone cared more about appearances than kindness. "Are you sure?" I asked Tom as my finger hovered over the button. He looked toward Oliver, happily building a tiny house out of red bricks. "Sometimes the right thing isn't the easy thing," he said softly. "But it's still right." I pressed post. By morning, my phone was exploding with notifications. The video had gone viral, over 200,000 shares in hours. Parents, teachers, disability advocates, and strangers from everywhere wrote messages of support. Other parents shared videos they had taken too, from different angles, showing Amanda's meltdown clearly. "Mom," Oliver called from the living room. "We're on the news." Sure enough, a local station had picked it up. My phone rang. It was Susan, my mother-in-law. "Jessica, I just saw everything," she said, voice trembling. "I didn't know Amanda could be so cruel. I'm so sorry." "Is Oliver okay?" Before I could even answer, another call came in. "Amanda." I ignored it. Then the text started. "Take it down now. You're destroying my reputation. People are canceling playdates with Emma. How could you do this to family?" Tom reached over my shoulder. "She still doesn't get it," he muttered. "It's all about her image." A knock came at the door. We opened it to find Emma standing there in tears, clutching Oliver's gift, a custom storybook about a princess whose greatest hero is her cousin with a walker. "I opened it this morning." She sniffled. "Can I please play with Oliver?" "Grandma brought me." "Mommy's been crying and yelling at her phone." My heart softened. "Of course, sweetheart." While the kids played, messages flooded in. A disability rights group wanted to feature Oliver in a campaign. Local businesses wanted to host an inclusive makeup birthday party. Teachers wanted to introduce disability awareness lessons. Amanda's perfect party had sparked something she never expected: a community conversation about real inclusion. Later that week, Tom's father called a family meeting. Amanda arrived pale and shaky, her perfect image visibly cracked. Emma ran straight to Oliver, hugging him tightly. "This ends now," Tom's father said firmly. "And Amanda, you're going to listen." He played the video on the big family TV. Amanda stared at herself, face draining of color. I didn't mean," she stuttered. "Yes, you did," Susan said quietly. "You've treated Oliver like this for years, we just refuse to admit it. But now the whole world has seen it." Emma looked up and asked softly, "Mommy, is this why Tyler from my class stopped coming to our house?" "His brother uses a wheelchair." Amanda's perfect world cracked completely then, and for the first time, she looked truly shaken by the damage she'd done. But our story didn't end there. This moment was only the beginning of a change none of us ever expected. And as the days passed, something even bigger began to unfold. Because apparently, Oliver wasn't the only child shed excluded from events over the years. The morning of the Unity party, I received an unexpected visit. Amanda stood on my doorstep looking nothing like her usual polished self. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I let her in, watching as Oliver played in the living room with his new friends, kids from the neighborhood who had never visited before the video went public. "I lost my job," Amanda said, sinking into a kitchen chair. "The real estate company said they can't have somioner presting them who discriminations disable clients. Emma's private test school called they're reviewing her enrollment unless I complete sensitive training." I pushed a cup of coffee toward her. "What do you want, Amanda?" "I want," she paused, watching Oliver laugh with his friends. "I want to understand how I got it so wrong. Emma, Mrs. Oliver, keeps asking why I'm a mean person. Me own daughter is ashamed of me." For the first time, I saw real tears in Amanda's eyes, not the performative ones usually displayed at family gatherings. "She party today," she continued, her voice unsteady. Would you let Emma attend? And maybe I could help. I need to do better for Emma, for Oliver, for everyone." I've heard the Unity party that afternoon was everything. Amanda's perfect party wasn't children of all abilities play together on accessibly equipped. Oliver gave a speech that left not a dry eye. In the house, local news covered the event. But this time, Thestry was about inclusion and community. Amanda stood in the background, helping quietly. Where needed, she watched as Emma and Oliver let other kids in adaptive aims, teaching them how to include a very own. The perfect princess party she had planned pale in comparison to this genuine celebration of joy and acceptance. Months have passed since then. Amanda's journey to understanding hasn't been easy, but she's trying. She enrolled in disability advocacy courses and now volunteers at the local children's hospital hammers birthday parties. Arano, known for being the most inclusive in the neighborhood, last week during a family dinner, Oliver asked Amanda to help him with his science project about adaptive technology. The smile on her face was real this time, not the picture-perfect one she used to wear. She said to me later. I spent so much time trying to create perfect moments that I miss all the truly beautiful ones. Oliver taught me that perfect isn't about how things look, it's about how they feel. The video that went viral still circles the internet. But now it's accompanied by a follow-up, Amanda speaking at disability awareness event sharing her story of learning, and Chung Oliver sits in the front row at every speech cheering on the aunt who finally learned to see him for who he really is. For our family, we're stronger now, not despite our differences, but because of them. Oliver's walker is no longer something to hide, it's just part of who is, like Emma's curly hair or Tom's law. Sometimes the most powerful changes come from the moments we least expect. What started as a birthday party disaster became a catalyst for transformation, not just for Amanda but for our entire community. Oliver summed it up best in his latest school essay. My aunt used to think perfect meant everything had to look right. Now she knows perfect is when everyone feels like they belong. And really, isn't that kind of perfection worth striving for?